And I learned how to dehydrate them just using your oven. It's an easy process. You turn your oven down to the lowest setting, put your peppers on a raised tray, and then open your oven door, crack the oven door so that the heat can escape, or the moisture would escape, and it dehydrated. And so funny. And so I had pulled a batch out of the oven and they were partially dehydrated. I said, well, I'm going to use the microwave to finish the drying process. Man, you don't want to do that. So and I put it in the microwave, and I had it in there too long. Well, I don't know if you know, but tear gas is made from the capsicum of peppers. That's the acid in the peppers. So when I put it in the microwave and heated it up, I actually burned the peppers, and it created tear gas throughout the house. And it had myself and my daughter. She was coughing. And it just went tear gas throughout the house. So it was a fiasco.
Listen, learn, get inspired. I'm Tavis Bryant, and this is BBQ Therapy. Like, subscribe, and follow to help grow the barbecue therapy community. Also, visit my website at www.bbqtherapypodcast.com.
We gon' have barbecue, your barbecue on. Get your barbecue on. Get your barbecue on.
Welcome to the BBQ Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant, and there are recipes that feed people. Then there are recipes that carry families. Long before companies were formed, logos were designed, or products found their way onto store shelves, there were kitchens where traditions were quietly being protected. Recipes weren't written down, they were demonstrated. They weren't measured in teaspoons, they were measured in memory. Today's guest didn't invent his family sauce, he inherited a responsibility. For more than a century, one recipe traveled through generations of women who believed that good food deserved patience, excellence, and love. Years later, after what he describes as a clear calling from God, that family tradition became a business now known as Slap Someone Sauce. Today isn't just a conversation about barbecue sauce. It's about legacy, obedience, family, faith, and what happens when someone that's been living inside your family finally finds its purpose. Kiplon, welcome to BBQ Therapy. I got one rule: make yourself at home and speak freely.
Tavis, my man, thank you, and for having me on tonight. It's really an honor to be part of your podcast.
I definitely appreciate you coming on. All right, like when I get started, I usually like to take it back because there's the whole story behind the product. So when people see your bottles today, they usually assume that business is where it started. But I think your story started as a little boy standing in the kitchen watching his mother cook. If you could step back into that kitchen for a moment, what do you remember seeing that most people would overlook?
Well, let me just say, my mother, Barbara Ann Roberts, and my grandmother, Dolores Lacey, were two of the best cooks that I've ever had the opportunity to encounter throughout my life. When I was a little boy, I used to watch both my mother and my grandmother cook. And, not having my father active in my life, that's where I kind of got my solace, if you will, is in the kitchen with my mother and my grandmother. And I really enjoyed watching them cook, and more importantly, eating the food that they cooked. So when I look at the barbecue sauce and my mother and how she would make it, it was like she just knew how much of each ingredient to put in the sauce when she made it. And I tell you, even now as I reminisce about that time, I can even smell the aroma and taste the sauce, And so, I would watch her, the word is intently, I would watch her as she made the sauce. And I didn't really know that I was going to be, making it myself down the road. But, again, like I said, I've been cooking since I was 9 years of age. And that happened because my mother had an allergic reaction to some penicillin, and she had to be rushed to the hospital. And she didn't have opportunity to cook a meal before she was, taken to the hospital. So, I had to call my grandmother, and they lived quite a ways. They lived out by the airport. In fact, we're from Denver, Colorado, and at the time, the major airport was Stapleton. And so my grandparents lived out by Stapleton, and we lived down close to downtown in the projects. So I had time enough to thaw out a chicken, if you will, and I opened up 2 cans of Green Giant Mexicorn, and I made a salad. And I I prepared the meal. And so when my grandmother arrived, dinner was on the table. And she asked me, who cooked dinner? I said, I did. And, they didn't know that I knew how to cook. I didn't know I knew how to cook, right? But it was instinctive. After having watched my mother, cook and prepare meals, it's like I've always had this perception, if you will, that you show me something one time and I got it. And so I would watch her over and over. So I guess it just became, muscle memory, and I learned how to do that. In fact, not only did I start cooking at 9, I started washing dishes at 9 years of age. And so, that was the negative side of everything. But, truly that's really
Okay. And you described your mother as someone that didn't need measuring cups or timers. That's a different level of confidence. When did you realize that it wasn't just her cooking dinner, it was teaching a philosophy on excellence? Because in order to do that, these days people just do it, guesstimate, but in order for her to do that, it will have to come through repetition and then get to a place where you're confident to just know how much to pour in there at that time.
I think what happens, Tavis, is, over time, if you do something enough times, it becomes muscle memory. And so, my mom was the oldest of my grandmother's 3 children. And oftentimes she would, have to cook for my uncle and my aunt. And so it just became second nature to her to prepare these meals and to also prepare the sauce. And so I just believe that's how it came to be. And then she just kind of passed that on to myself and my sister.
Okay. And when they made the sauce, were they grilling or was it for bacon or what were being cooked?
Well, yeah, obviously. We would use it when she would barbecue, excuse me, on the grill. And of course, my request was a whole chicken. I could eat up the house when, back in the day. And she would cook me a chicken, and she would fix ribs and hot dogs and stuff for her and my sister. Mm-hmm. And like I said again, I used to just watch her, just make the sauce, and it was like it was second nature.
Okay. And every family has traditions, but some only become an identity. Looking back now, why do you think that this recipe stayed alive through multiple generations instead of quietly disappearing like so many family recipes usually do?
I think, every one of us is sent here with a gift and a purpose. I'm also an ordained minister, and so part of my gift is, spiritual and biblical. But the other part of me is I came from a long line of entrepreneurs. On my father's side of the family, my grandfather, my father, they were all entrepreneurs. And so the idea that I would someday be an entrepreneur, I guess that was already kind of set in the stars, aligned in the stars. I would always, as a little kid, I would always imagine myself being wealthy. And there was a newspaper back in the day called the Parade Magazine. It used to come with your Sunday newspaper. And they had this little sales paper in there called Spencer Gifts. And they always had these contests, these sweepstakes. And I would always believe that I was going to win and I was going to be wealthy. And I just had an idea, or I had a desire to not just be normal, if you will, as a kid. And then on top of all of that, I just asked a whole lot of questions, sometimes to the point of being forced out the room. My grandma would tell me, boy, if you don't get out of here and stop asking all these questions. But why? So I think the sauce, it lasted because it was supposed to last. My mom, unfortunately, she took sick and she passed at age 52 from kidney failure and heart attack. But all of her recipes were kind of passed along, and we didn't even write anything down just because we watched her so often. And it just came, and oftentimes, certainly after I joined the military and I got my first apartment off base, and I would have cookouts, and I would always make the sauce. I would make it from, remember what my mom did. And everybody would always tell me, man, this sauce is so good, you need to sell this, right? And at that time, I just didn't have the mentality or the understanding of what it meant to take it from a home recipe and into a business. But I never stopped. I just continued to make the sauce on my own,
One detail that stood out to me, it wasn't the recipe, it was the timing. You knew how to make the sauce for years, but you never felt compelled to sell it. What do you think God was preparing in you during that time before 2018?
I think, it's about placement and it's about timing. And sometimes, we can be connected to the wrong people, and God will delay our blessings until we're free from those people because they would take advantage of us or, try and steal, what we have, right? And so I think he was waiting for me to make some decisions and separate myself from certain people. Everybody that smiles at you isn't your friend, right? And so ironically, in 2018, when God spoke to me about this, my wife and I had went through a serious financial dilemma at the hands of my father. And he was an inventor, and he was, like I said again, entrepreneur. And so he had an invention that he was trying to get to the market, and we decided to invest in him and support him. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out right. And in fact, he put us in a financial situation that I actually ended up having to file bankruptcy. And my wife got some judgments, and our credit score just tanked. And I believe that God stepped in that moment when everything was at the very lowest. And, ironically, that particular Saturday I was teaching, I had taught Bible study, and my topic at the time was gifts, talents, and abilities. And so after the fact, I was sitting here at my desk in my office and just kind of degaussing, coming down from, the spiritual high and teaching. And then all of a sudden God said, make and sell your sauce. I said, wait a minute. I said, say that again. And, there's a story in the Bible about a prophet named Gideon. And he did the same thing. God told him to do something, and he fleeced God. He asked God to prove that it was him speaking. I didn't go to the extent of Gideon, but I did ask him. I said, say that again. And he said, make and sell your sauce. I was like, okay, well, what do I call it? And he said, slap someone's sauce. God has a sense of humor, right? And so I said, okay, cool. And I went online and trying to determine or figure out how to make a logo. And so I went to a clip art page, and I found a piece of clip art. There was a hand. It was a giant hand with a lot of little hands inside of it. And I said, well, this will work. And so that was the original logo. And we had 8 flavors to begin with to start. And none of the flavors at that time had a name. They just simply were flavors. So we started out with the original, which is my great-grandmother's recipe. And then what I did is I took the recipe itself and I re-engineered it. So I stripped it of all the ingredients and then built it back and created flavors with the ingredients that were a part of the original recipe. So I had the original, then I had hickory, then I added mesquite, and then honey, then I had mild, medium, hot, and then habanero. That was the 4 flavors, or the 8 flavors, if you will, that we initially started with. And I created the logo, and I ran upstairs and told my wife, and I was excited, and she was asleep, and she was like, what are you bothering me for? I said, babe, God spoke to me, and he told me to sell sauce. And she said, do what? Because again, we had just come out of a financial situation trying to work with my father, and she wasn't looking to get involved in anything again. So she was not really receptive of the idea, but, I had to go ahead and go forward with it because God had spoke. So I had to, trust God, and step out on faith. And 2 weeks from that day, I was driving down Fairman Road on the way home, and then God dropped the names of the flavors to coincide with the name of the company. And so that's how we got the real deal. That's how we got slapped on the range, smacked in the woods, good loving, the honey. And each one has a reason why we call it that, right? And I like to say now we have 11 flavors. So we call the honey the good loving because she's sweet on you, And then we have hit me again, multiple slaps, and raging battle. So that would be mild, medium, hot, then habanero. And then I had a lady call me from Los Angeles, and she asked me about white barbecue sauce. And I thought she was cursing at me, I never heard of a white barbecue sauce. And so she said, I said, what's a white barbecue sauce? So I had to look that up online and come to find out that that's a real thing. It actually began in Alabama, so we adapted that, added our touch to it. In fact, my sister was here. I was getting ready to graduate from through my undergrad from Belhaven University, and so I had made up a batch, and she tasted it. She's like, "That's absolutely disgusting. You gotta do something with that." So we put our touch on it, and so that's called Bama White Tide. So it's our white barbecue sauce. And then he gave me the honey mustard, and we call the honey mustard Strange Love because sometimes she's sweet, sometimes she's sour. She's trying to determine what she wants to be when she grows up. And then we have our newest flavor, most recent flavor, which is now over a year old now, and it's called Fruit Punch. And it's not Hawaiian punch, but it's fruit punch because it's pineapple, mango, and habanero. So the fruit is the pineapple and the mango, and the punch comes from the habanero.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Well thought out too. All right. Now, every entrepreneur eventually discovers that products are only part of the job. The hard work is protecting the standard. You often talk about not rushing the process because that's how your family taught you. How long was the process in making some of the sauces from the beginning concept to when you tasted it and said, okay, this is it?
It came relatively easy because at the base of every flavor is the original flavor, right? My grandmother's great grandmother's recipe. Mm-hmm. So all I had to do was, add that flavor in there and taste it till it came, it was to my liking. And then I would move on. And so, okay, that's what we need right there. And I can't give you the recipe of how we did it or the process of how we did it, but it was pretty easy to develop the flavors. I mean, it just all of a sudden, in fact, the fruit punch, that came to me in a dream. I was taking a nap on an afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and all of a sudden, I'm getting all of these ingredients, right, and I'm being told to make this flavor of sauce. So after the nap, I got up, I went and got the pineapple and the mango, and I made a batch of sauce, and I did not initially, I didn't cook the pineapple and the mango, so it didn't come out as well as I would have had desired. And so I went back and tried it again, but this time I cooked the pineapple and the mango, and then I added the base sauce to it. And then after I had the base sauce and had my wife taste it, she tastes pretty good. Then I added the habanero, and it's a funny story and how that all came about. I've always been the type of guy that if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna try and do it in excellence, and I always want to be able to. I have no problem experimenting and trying things out. So at the time, I was working as a manager with MARTA, and I was a road supervisor. And I would go and buy the habanero peppers, and I learned how to dehydrate them just using your oven. It's an easy process. You turn your oven down to the lowest setting. Put your peppers on a raised tray, and then open your oven door, crack the oven door, so that the heat can escape, or the moisture would escape, and it dehydrated. And so funny. And so I had pulled a batch out of the oven, and they were partially dehydrated. I said, well, I'm going to use the microwave to finish the drying process. Man, you don't want to do that. So I actually, after I put it in the microwave, and I had it in there too long. Well, I don't know if you know, but tear gas is made from the capsicum of peppers. That's the acid in the peppers. So when I put it in the microwave and heated it up, I actually burned the peppers, and it created tear gas throughout the house. And it had myself and my daughter. She was coughing. And it just went tear gas throughout the house. So it was a fiasco.
Creative bomb. All right. And you led in ministry, you led in business, and you led your family. Looking back across those different roles, was there one moment that completely changed your understanding of what real leadership actually requires? Well,
actually, Tavis, the leadership role actually began when I was a little boy at home, because we didn't all have good upbringing. My mom, she had a lot of struggles. We didn't grow up in a Christian home, and we were not church goers, and so she had some demons and things that she was struggling with, and oftentimes she would leave us at home by ourselves, and I, being the oldest, would have to take care of my sister. I had to make sure that everything was all right. And so that's how it really began, because I was thrust into a position of leadership to care for my sister. And then over the years, it just came natural. And then when I, joined the military, and then I began to actually research my name. Now, my grandmother, she named me, and she had put together several bottles and cans to extract the letters and create my first name. But what I didn't know, even though she created the first name, really, ultimately God is in control. because my name is Kiplon, Kiplon, and when I researched it, it has a meaning. It means from a pointed hill. And you could translate that is that I sit in leadership, because I sit at the top of the mountain. I'm from a pointed hill. And everywhere I've ever gone in life, even in high school, I was in ROTC, and I led the silent marching drill team to state championships. I went from enlisted rank to become an officer in the ROTC program. In fact, it even helped me when I joined the Navy when we were in boot camp, and because I had carried the rank of lieutenant commander, when we set up our companies in boot camp, I became a company leader until we had our drill instructors assigned. So they would have to ask me, for permission to, do certain things I think we went almost a week before we got our company commanders, and I was in charge the whole time. And then from that, when the company commanders arrived and I was in control of the company, they just made me what's called the RCPO, which is Recruit Chief Petty Officer. And then you have the second in command, which would be your Recruit Petty Officer First Class. So I was the Recruit Chief Petty Officer. I was in charge of the company. I was leading the company. So I kind of followed that trend throughout my life. And for, the service that I rendered in boot camp, I was meritoriously promoted. So then when I arrived in my first unit in San Diego, it wasn't long before I was promoted to E4, and then later on to E5. And then, just always seemed to be falling into those leadership roles. And while on shore duty, I was recruited for, the Navy had a SWAT anti-terrorist team at the time, so I was recruited for that, and I became point man on the building entry team. So I was always in the lead, always leading. So I don't know, it just came natural. I didn't necessarily pursue these things, but it just came natural.
And what made you choose the Navy?
I had been in Navy ROTC in high school, and so I knew Navy. But ironically, I had talked to the Army prior to that because they came to the high school, for recruitment day. And I signed up to actually join the Army because I wanted to be like my uncle. He was a paratrooper in Vietnam, and he was the only father figure that I had. So I was going to be Army, right? But the Army guy, after graduation or before graduation, the Army guy never called me. So I needed to get out of my mother's house because things were not going, well. There were some things that happened, not going too in depth in that, and I needed to go. So the Navy was the first thing smoking out of the house. So I joined the Navy.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I understand. I was at the house right after I graduated. I had my own place and haven't looked back since. So I understand that. And with me, did the whole church. I was in church also. I retired from everything in 2024 when my daughter was born. I was a deacon from 02 to 24, and I was my adjutant from 2010 to 2024. But some things happened, and it's like, okay, like you said, some people had to move out your life for you to start stuff, and that's kind of like my story. I'm not going to get in super detail, but I had to take my ball and go, and that's when I got an opportunity to do all this, and that's why I'm doing all this at 50 years old instead of being able to do this because all your time got consumed doing stuff for other people and not having time to work on your own stuff. And then it's like after a while you wake up and be like, I done wasted all these years, 30-something years, and I ain't made it nowhere. So that's kind of how I'm doing this all late. But like you said, it's all about timing, so I think I'm better prepared now than probably I was back then. But yeah, it's definitely an adventure and stuff like that. But being a leader, I mean, like you said, you was forced into that, and you learned along the way and kept getting in positions of leadership, and that kept fine tuning you to where you're at now. You got an event coming up on the 18th. Can you talk about a little bit about your event and your idea for the event, and then I got a couple of questions about that. And
Sure. So April, actually, let's go back to January of this year. We were at the Georgia World Congress Center. I had been invited to vend our barbecue sauce with the Little Big South and this organization that hosts these volleyball games at the Georgia World Congress Center and also Cobb Galleria Center. So we were at Georgia World Congress Center in January of this year, and a gentleman walked up to the table, and he says, well, I want to taste your sauce. I was like, sure. I said, we got 4 flavors here, and at the time we had the the real deal, the original, the hickory slapped on the range, the honey mustard, strange love, and then the fruit punch. So he tasted the hickory and the fruit punch, and he really liked that. And he started talking this language, and the language was it was distribution language, right? But it was like another language. I didn't. I said, well, what do you do? I said, are you a caterer? You want us to be your sauce provider? He said, no, I want to use it for my company. Took his backpack off and set it on the table and turned it around. It was U.S. Foods. And it just so happens. And so I told him, I said, well, we sold out of the 2 flavors you like. I said, but we'll have it tomorrow. And his daughter said, he's the vice president. He'll get you in. So it was the vice president of merchandising for U.S. Foods for the Mississippi, Louisiana region. And we had our first meeting with him January 27th. And he said, okay, let's hear. I came prepared with a pitch deck and everything that I was going to say to him to become a part of his company. I didn't need any of that. He says, we're going to get you in, make successful exposure to all of our vendors, and we're going to make you wealthy. Like, wow. So April of this year, we inked a deal with U.S. Foods. So we're just waiting to produce for them. And so now what this event is for, it is our coming out party to expose Slap Someone Sauce or introduce Slap Someone Sauce to the masses, so that not only are we just going to be a partner with U.S. Foods, but then we'll also have some people that have experienced our sauce on a larger scale. And so we decided to do a food truck cook-off. And the way that it works is that the food truck owners that are going to participate or compete, well, the deal is they have to use one of our 11 flavors of barbecue sauce and one of our five varieties of dry rub, and they have to create a meal using a meat, 2 sides, and a dessert, and then we'll score each plate. And the person with the most points will win first prize. And we have 3 prize levels, first, second, and third. First prize is $2,500, second prize is $1,000, and third prize is $500. So again, and we want to make this an annual event, and it's our coming out party for Slap Someone Sauce, to introduce everyone to Slap Someone Sauce to become a well-known or named provider for barbecue sauce.
Okay. And launching your first event is always a leap of faith, because you're always inviting people to believe in something that doesn't have history yet. Now, when you envision Slap Someone Sauce food truck cook-off, what experience did you want families, food truck owners, and the community to walk away with beyond just great food?
Well, I want them to become familiar with all the flavors of sauce that we produce. I want them to also understand that, show them what it means to be dedicated to your craft, your business, and what you're doing, and how to show people that even in the face of potential failure, you still can produce and you still can put yourself out there. And so this is the idea, to give people an idea that whatever they were dreaming about, whatever they were trying to think about or do, and it never happened, that, well, here I am, and through all of the failures and things that we have tried over the years, I'm still at it. And so if you don't ever give up, eventually God will bless you. And so this is what this is all about.
Definitely. All right, final question. If you were sitting across from 9-year-old you, what would you tell him right now?
Son, there's going to come a lot of hard times in your life, but you just keep your head pointed in the right direction. Don't give up and keep going, and you will be successful. There's going to be some very hard times, but just know that you're going to win in the end.
Definitely. All right, Kiplon, your therapy session is over. If you got anything to promote, yeah, we want to give you a website or anything, you can definitely do it at this time where they can get your products.
Sure. Okay, so our website is www.slapsomeonesauce.com. Again, that's www.slapsomeonesauce.com. And you go to the website. We ship nationally, and we're getting ready to start shipping internationally. We have some partners in a couple of countries, and you can call us at 404-857-4758. Again, that's 404-857-4758, and you'll get me.
Definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and stuff like that. And because, like I say, everybody, regardless of how well known they are or not well known or mid well known, everybody has a story that can help somebody and motivate somebody, because some people might be out there that went through the same thing you have. So it may show that, hey, I'm in this situation, but I can overcome it just like he did. So that's one of the main reasons I kind of started the podcast, just as a motivation tool, as well as to promote people out there, because you always hear about the same products, and there's millions of products out there that people haven't heard of that are good, just as good as the ones you always hearing about. So it's also about promoting people's product also, and giving other people a chance to get the light shined on them also.
You
So we
know,
definitely appreciate you.
being a member of the NBBQA, you know, I was blown away when I had an opportunity to meet Dave, right, at the hotel while we were in Nashville, and Janet introduced me to him. And you know, that's if everyone doesn't know, Dave is Sweet Baby Ray, and so you know he's a multi-millionaire. And he did say to me, he handed me his business card, and he said to me in the hotel lobby there, he says, "If you need any help, just let me know. Give me a call. I'll help you out." Now I didn't know. I didn't know how to take that because he's got 53% of the market share for barbecue sauce. So I was excited and at the same time apprehensive because you know sometimes you know the big guys want to bury the little guys and keep you away from being successful. So while it was an honor to meet the guy, I've yet to call him because I just don't know if that was what God would want me to do, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's true. Some people out to help. Some people, because when I started this, like I said, numerous episodes that I reached out to people to get advice about podcasting, and a lot of them didn't reach out. I didn't hear from a lot of them, and a couple of them did reach out and give me advice. And I definitely always appreciate them, but some of them right now that they didn't answer at all, but they have to sit there and watch me like I was at Memphis in May, and I got an opportunity to go on as a guest podcast host, and a lot of those people had to sit there and watch me and wonder like, okay, what is he doing here? Because what that does, it fuels me and energizes me to do what I got to do and show them that, hey, I'm not in here to play around. I'm in here to, I mean, if you don't want it, I'm going to take it. So I got the opportunity. I showed what I can do. And now everybody look at me different because half of them people I was interviewing were not no small names. And they'll never forget me and what I did there because I was rocking and rolling. And this was like on the spot. It wasn't no sitting here playing interviews and all this. People, they were grabbing people left and right off the just off walking by or just running and getting folks. And I had to prepare in like 5 minutes and give them a good interview. But like I said, it's like you said, I mean, you're a church man, you know about discernment and discerning people and stuff like that and praying about it. And just, I mean, I would personally, I would reach out and then I would kind of pray about the information and see if it's wisdom or not. And take it from there because you never know. I mean, he might give you an opportunity to go study under him or anything like that. Because me, I'm quick to ask, hey, if I can come hang around or do anything like that, I'll go do it for free and just to get experience and knowledge and stuff. So, I mean, I wouldn't pass up the opportunity though. I mean, and definitely that was I mean, I would reach out to him and stuff and just like you just said, you're a smart man. Just decipher the information he give you. You can tell when something sound foolish and something sound okay. This is good information.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I tell you what, man. Yeah, it was an honor to be there. And in fact, that's where I met, you know, Aisha, right? Also. And, you know, it just, and we didn't realize we both came from Atlanta area, right? And so it's just amazing how things happen. And, you know, she's one of our sponsors.
And on that note, we're going to switch over to the next part of the interview.
Thank you.
Nakia Coco Charco. All right. Appreciate
Yes,
you
thank you,
joining me.
Kiplon.
Say it again.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the intro.
No problem. I haven't started the intro yet.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody. All right, let me kick it off. All right, part 2 of the interview. All right, what if one of the biggest innovations in barbecue isn't a new smoker, a new rub, or a new cooking technique, but the charcoal itself? Today, we're sitting down with Nakia Coco, a company that's challenging decades of tradition by turning discarded coconut shells into high-performance charcoal. But this conversation isn't just about the fuel. It's about purpose, sustainability, entrepreneurship, and what it takes to convince an industry to rethink something that is trusted for generations. This conversation is about building something different, earning trust one cook at a time, and proving that doing what's better for the future doesn't mean sacrificing performance. Let's get into it. Welcome to BBQ Therapy. I got one rule for you. Make yourself at home and speak freely.
All right,
Right.
good. That was a great intro. Excuse me.
Let me do my thing.
Yeah, you did your thing for sure. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, no problem. All right, let's start from the beginning of y'all. All right, take me back to where each of y'all from, and how did your childhood, as far as the food scene in your childhood, as far as also the things that still stick with you from your childhood that goes into this business that y'all doing?
Well, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from the good old, yes, the east side, Decatur, where it's greater. Went to Southwest DeKalb High School. And I bring my high school up because that's part of my childhood as well. And you have a real deep rooted community and with barbecues. My mom, high school as well, all I guess from Georgia. High school reunions is always big. You know, my mom was Mrs. Brown, my sister was Miss SWD, my brother, all those good things. And so even now we will be sponsoring our our alumni barbecue cookout this year. So so I'm really excited for that one. Really excited for that one because that kind of comes all into play because we all grew up, you know, either tailgating, baseball, whatever, you know, in the neighborhood, just barbecuing, getting together. So yeah, that's how it's rooted. And we have Tibor here, the second half
Yes,
of
hi.
Nakia Coco Charcoal.
Yeah, how you
So
doing?
basically, I give my quick story. So I born and raised in Hungary and in Germany. So I have already two different cultures in terms of food. So what was really always or stick until today in my brain is the clean food which we got from both grands, you know, because they have different style of cooking. By the end of the day, when it comes down to the ingredients, which is clean, which is from your garden, and you know from which butcher shop, etc., etc. So we do not have this big barbecue scene what is here in the US, right? But when you're growing up with your grandparents, then you really appreciate clean food. So, and I think I can say that this is the base on which we built up then our business or the idea, basically.
Okay. And y'all build a company around sustainability, responsibility, and long-term thinking. Those ain't marketing words. They usually come up from somewhere personal. Can you remember an early experience that made you realize that resources shouldn't be wasted?
Yes, I guess even in school you taught how to recycle, right? But I also come from a culinary background. So it's always been like, how can we use this one item multiple times throughout our menu to keep food costs down? You know? And so just traveling around the world to Uganda, to Kenya, and India, I saw them actually using the shell of the coconut. Because, you know, when you ride in India, they'll give you a coconut off the tree. India is not the best tastiest coconuts warm, but it's so frequent, like they just hand it to you. And you just see coconut shells just lying on around. So when I actually did see them making my tandoori kingfish and, you know, out of the cold, it was wonderful. The food was great. I ordered like 2 or 3 after I had one. And so just to see how their flavors really came through and how they were just using their own resources, I just thought that was great. But this is maybe back in 2010, 2011 that I actually saw this for the first time. But going around to different other countries and seeing them, most definitely in Africa, use it the same way, it really did have me curious to think like, why don't we do it here in the U.S.? You know? Like if you can just take it from your own backyard, in that it's less chemicals as well.
So you ran across somebody using it as charcoal, or somebody told you about it?
Yes, in India. Yes. So they have this.
Very common.
Yeah, it's very common in India. So I went to Kerala, India for a wedding, and we went through all parts of Kerala, and most definitely the hometowns, the small villages, and that's where I got sick in the village part. But in the restaurant part, it was fine. It was good.
Man, your stomach is very different if you visit this country, believe me.
It does. So I saw it in the restaurant first before I saw it in the village, you know, and I saw them this, you know, shoveling it out, and I didn't realize it like 15 from years from now I would actually try to, you know, bring this to the U.S. and try to, well, create a business out of it. Not try, but we are to create a business out of it. I would never have thought I've done that. But it was really interesting seeing back then. They didn't waste anything, you know, and to use a banana leaf as your plate and just very resourceful, you know. We're very privileged where we have these styrofoam plates and these plastic forks, and which is actually just killing more of the earth. But that's where we use even, you know, the poor people, you know, they're not just using a banana leaf, you know. So I'm just seeing how they use things around them and to make do.
So when did it hit you to like, okay, this is what I want to do, start selling this product?
Charcoal. Well, what made, as we sat down, I was living in Dubai and my mom passed away and I had to come back home. I had to come back home and we were just discussing like, we want a legacy. I want to leave something behind, but I also want to build an empire. But what can get us there? We have to solve a problem, right? What problem can we solve? And we actually saw a documentary about charcoal, how much chemicals was inside. And for my mom's, not a repast, but for her memorial, we had a cookout for her. And after seeing this documentary, I'm like, well, shoot, the barbecue's probably killed her. You know, it probably, you know, all the carcinogens are inside of it. Maybe eating so much barbecue for that long has, you know, caused her to have this cancer. I know this is how my mom was just going. It probably didn't. At the same time, you know, it could have helped led to it because more and more people are passing away for cancer these days. And Black and brown people, we are a high consumer of barbecue and charcoal. So that just got me to thinking. And I was like, well, let me do some digging because you can always go to a gas station and buy some charcoal, right? And that's like $10 a bag for that small little B one. So I'm thinking like, all right, it's a passive one. Regardless of what's going on, they're going to have to buy it to get the party started, to get the gathering going, to get the football, whatever it is. They're going to spend some money for some charcoal. So after doing more and more research, and I saw that it was a gap in the market for it, and I was like, you know what? This is it. Like the United States is the number one consumer for barbecue, with grills, for coal, all of it. And so if I had to come back home, then this is what I needed to do. So, and it's not many Black-owned women running in this industry as well. So I say, hey, it's all wide open for me, you know. And having a background in food and beverage and operations, it wasn't going to be too much hard for me to do. But I knew that once I came back to the U.S., I was not working for anyone again. That was my goal.
Nice. But I guess it's different because I've never heard of coconut being used for that, but I know in different countries they do use a lot of stuff that we don't use over here. When y'all first started doing this, in hindsight, what were the biggest unknowns during the early days that people would never realize behind the scenes when y'all were getting started?
I'll let him start that one first.
What was the biggest, what the people have seen or questions, right?
Yeah.
I think the main thing was they could not imagine that you can make basically from the shell, from the coconut shell, charcoal. I mean, there's a process behind it, it's a technical process, etc. You know. But I think this was for most of the people, and when you show them the product, to feel it, to see it, to touch it. First of all, yes, it's called charcoal, correct? But first of all, you're not getting so dirty on your hands. So that means it shows the good quality of the product. Second, you don't smell anything. If you take a piece of lump charcoal, whatever wood they're using, and you smell it, you can smell the toxins inside the wood, you know, from the process to make this one. So I think this was for most of the people to really to understand that you can transform a product into something new and something more sustainable, which you can reuse it after its original lifetime.
Yeah.
So I think we will come to this point later.
A lot I got from it is most definitely from here in the U.S. is, of course, I never heard of it and have I patented it. I'm like, well, no, because it's nothing new to the world. It's new to the USA, but it's not new to the world. And a lot of different cultures and countries actually use it. So them trying to understand that concept, and then does it taste like coconut? I don't want my food tasting like coconut. I'm allergic to coconut. You know, those comments. And so launching Nakia Coco charcoal is going to take a lot of education, and we know that we're in an uphill battle because people have to unlearn some things they learned before, and so we get a lot of aha moments, and most definitely. What a lot of people are more intrigued about is how it becomes your fertilizer. How after you have your barbecue, you have your ashes, you don't just throw them in a trash can or throw them in a landfill, but now you can put it into your garden. You can put it into that plant that's been dying from nutrition for a long time that needs some potassium. And now more so when we meet farmers and we partner with the city of Lovejoy now with their farm. And so once we get more food trucks or more restaurants, we have a program where we're going to take those ashes that they use and give it to the local farms, because they're in need of them, to enrich the soil.
And basically, could be part of a business, but to give something back to the community.
Yes.
And to close the life cycle of the clean food, to come back what I said at the beginning, that was growing up with clean food. So, you don't have to monetize everything in the world. Something you can give back to the community will give it back to you. I'm not talking about us as the people, as the person, but for the people, right? To give something back. So I think, this is a good life cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. And where did the name come from?
So Nakia Coco Charcoal. Nakia is a family name, my family. So my dad, he created Nakia for us. So I have 5 siblings. So the N is in Jerry, A Aisha, Kitwana, Ikim, and Ajamu. So those are all our names. All our names are Swahili as well. And so is Nakia. But Nakia goes and so it's multicultural. It can be an Indian name. It can be, people not exactly sure where the name kind of comes from, but it works. It's Arabic as well. And so we like that, So that's our family's name, and that would be our legacy. So, yes.
Okay. And how did y'all two meet? Y'all, when dealing with the charcoal, or y'all knew each other before the charcoal? How did that come about?
We knew each other before the charcoal in Dubai. So I was a senior operating manager for the airport. He had he can get you anything you wanted. And so Dubai was trying to go plastic free. And my job was trying to make my whole Concourse B and C plastic free. And so he knew some suppliers for the cups, the plates, all that. And that was just a big task for me to have. And so yeah, so that's how we met. And when it was time to get some charcoal, he knew the people to get the charcoal from too. So he was my plug.
So the people y'all get it from, were they making it before, or they just, once you brought the idea, they started making it then?
No. See, as I have worked in India for over 3 years, okay, before COVID. And what Aisha just said is correct. It's very common to use the shell. The shell, usually they're just throwing and dumping it in landfills, right? So, and then poor people, what they're doing, they're going to the landfills, collecting the shells, they burn it. So, and then the residue of this burned charcoal, they will reuse it to make briquettes out of it. But this is the simple form of doing it. But I lost my words.
Where's going with that story?
Anyway.
The manufacturer makes it, yes.
Yeah, no, but it was manufactured already before. So it's the industry. If you go to Southeast Asia, different countries, from Vietnam to India to Sri Lanka and so on and so forth, they're doing it for a long time, and they're exporting it already to the world. Except
okay.
And hopefully it stays like that. You can cut this part out. Podcast, because we want them for us and only us.
No, but you need to. Not everybody can bring the material in.
Yes.
Because you have material and you have material. Basically, you have our quality, which is premium, and you have rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then to find the right partners and the right manufacturers, and to know to whom to reach out, and to have the right connections, because of what Kiplon said before, not everybody who's smiling in your face has a good heart, right? And I learned this the hard way. So we had this experience, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and what kind of time frame, when y'all order something from overseas, what kind of time frame does it take for it to get here, all the way over here?
See, the issue is always for mature. For example, now what's happening in the Middle East, it's impacting the entire world.
Yeah.
So when a container, I give you an example where a normal person was booking a container for $4,000 or $5,000 from A to B, become now $10,000. Okay, then ships are not moving, or the ships who are moving, they are filled up to the brim, and you have waiting time of 4 to 6 weeks until you can get your items on board. So it's a lot of obstacles right now, but usually if it's only one single container, it takes 2 months. You need to produce it, put it on
46 weeks.
Yeah, 46 weeks.
46 weeks it'll take. 46 weeks.
Correct.
We were blessed. Our first shipment only took 4 weeks, maybe less. Right, our first one. But this is pre-war, right? Pre-war, whatever that man was doing, right? And so now, since then, prices have tripled, right? Long times have quadrupled as well, wait times. So we are still hoping now that things have kind of calmed down that we will get back to the 46 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, you're going to hold your breath on that one.
Well, we are ready for whatever big orders that come through to sustain ourselves. That's one thing that we have planned for, and we are really thankful that did happen because of the situation. But yes, I'm still gonna be prayerful and hoping that when those big orders come through for the containers, that we can still hopefully guarantee 4 to 6 weeks or 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's different because it's unheard of. It's just all about, I guess, y'all pushing it out there and people discovering it, and word of mouth. Hey, have you heard of this? Or somebody seeing the bag somewhere and ask the question about it, or you like he has a shirt on. Hey, what's that on your shirt? And it creates a curiosity because, like I said, one thing about me, y'all saw I had logos everywhere when I was at
everywhere.
Because
I know. I told so many people about you. I learned so much.
And you see behind me, everything is all about getting it burned in their head. I said they're gonna know my show name or my logo until they know me. Then once they know me, it's fine. But until then, I'm gonna promote it, and one by one, I'll start getting people's attention. Just like y'all, like I told you when you was there, just go hand it out to people. I mean, and let them try it, regardless of how big or small they are. Just give it to them because you never know.
Yeah.
In that place there, you don't know who's who, so you don't know what level each person is. Because I mean, like how I got out to Memphis in May, when I got asked to judge the rib comp, I didn't know the guy, one of the top guys at Smoking Brothers and Gateway Drums, came by and talked to the girl that was sitting next to me. I didn't know he noticed me or not. And next thing you know, he called me a couple weeks later and asked me, did I want to come out to Memphis? I was like, I didn't even know you knew I was sitting there. So that's why you always got to be prepared for every situation. But it's about, coming in contact, like what you did, went out to MBBQA. It was short notice, but you made the effort to go out there. Now people know who you are. And then once you get connected to the right people like Kel and Janet, you see they posted you on the thing. So that creates the curiosity also. And it's all about just continue to promote. And like you said, going to the events and getting on the ground and going to places. So anytime you see even if it's a big comp, small comp, you in the area, drop by, hand out cards or say, hey, who's the top competitors here? Hand them some charcoal, and it pays off in the long run. At the beginning, it may be frustrating, but it pays off in the long run. All right, when someone cooks with your charcoal for the first time, what usually surprises them the most?
How well the heat holds and the burn time, and then from there the smell. It's no smell, and it's clean, clear smoke, right? So this one guy who recently gave it to. I saw him cooking with his baby near, but he also had asthma. But once I gave him a bag and he tried it, and he can just tell the difference instantly. And also they taste it in their food, saying that it don't taste like that chemical taste, that you get from the charcoal or the lighter fluid. And so those have been some of the good feedbacks we received, that their eyes wasn't so teary up or red by being by the smoke so long.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
So that's like the number one thing. But then after that, they were surprised that it turned brown So the codes, once it was over with, it turned brown. It was like they'd never seen anything like that before.
It's one indication that there's no chemicals in it.
Yeah.
So our product, as we said, now you take it, it's cold, you can see that the color turns out like the coconut. Just dump it into your garden and let the flowers grow, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's amazing. So I mean, definitely just like I said, it's all about promotion and like I said, use your social media like I do. I you can run an ad on social media. I pay like sometimes I do like an ad for 4 days and do $5 a day, and they'll send out your whatever commercial you make or video you make to a certain amount of people, and just get the word out there and just do a video explaining your product, what it's made of. Most of the questions that people ask, answer those in your ad or video and stuff like that. Yeah, all it takes is just use AI to get up a little script to jot your thoughts in, and they'll be a teleprompter. Get a teleprompter out where they got that on the iPhone, and just record and just read it and explain to them and run that commercial on TikTok. You can run it on Instagram, and it's free advertising because I done got numerous followers and listeners just by running ads that I can afford on social media and stuff. Until you get the
Yeah.
word out there.
We have 3 commercials coming up. So we finally did some work with some videographer, and we cut it up. So we have some things in the pipeline. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's the goal. We're gonna come down on events, but still go to a few, but not so many big ones, and start focusing on just ads and things. But yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I would say mostly hit them if you can, hit them the big barbecue ones that you can, because there's nothing but barbecue people there, and just walk
I know
around.
how to come tag along with you, man.
Because I'm going to American Royal again, and that 500 teams gonna be there at one time. So it's numerous opportunity to just walk around and introduce yourself and meet folks. 'Cause that's how I got most of the people I know. Because competing against other people, well, not really competing in the podcast game, is like they've been in it way longer than I have. So to catch the gap up, I go out to competitions, go walk around, introduce myself, meet people. I mean, I'm more focused on being friends with the people than interviewing anyway. But I just like hearing people's story, but
Yeah.
I go and put my feet to the pavement and introduce myself. So when I go out there, they actually know me, and I make it a habit to go see people that's on the podcast, people that's not on the podcast, go introduce myself and just build my network that way instead of just being stuck in this room here doing podcasts and not getting out there. And you don't do the podcast, you don't know none of these folks, but I actually know a lot of these folks, and they're surprised the people I know just by getting out there, introducing myself and seeing that these people are just down to earth people, and you be like, man, that's Myron Mixon. I'm not gonna go talk to him, but having these folks are friendly. They're not gonna tell you to get away or anything like that, and they'll hear you out. If you mean, and you know, like I said, always be prepared. So if they have any questions, you know what to say, or you have an opportunity. Hey, I need 50 bags. How much that gonna cost? No, ain't no. Let me get back with you. You got to know.
No. Here's a payment link right here.
Yeah.
You want to tap?
Exactly. You got to know what you're doing and be prepared at all.
Tap it right now.
Just advertise. I mean, y'all got a good thing going on because it's different. People, it's strange. Everything starts out strange because you don't. I mean, right now I'm looking at canned water. I'm like, what is this now? Probably 5 years from now, it'll probably be normal. But right now, you're looking at water in a can. Like, you put water in a can like a soda. But everything starts out strange. But once you get used to it and they understand it, I mean, y'all will have a winner. All right. Let me see. I got off track and stole the interview.
No, it's fine. We love it. We will take it and receive it.
All right. Now, if someone likes to grill 20 years from now without ever knowing your name, but they're cooking over a cleaner, more sustainable fire because of the work that y'all started, would that kind of legacy make this journey worthwhile? Or do y'all want the fame and fortune too?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, that would make me feel great. I'm sorry, T. Were you saying something?
Beside the monument,
Yes.
I think I can make 2 out of it actually. I think just to start helping that the education level starts not only by segregating plastic and things that, sustainability starts way much earlier, you know. So it's not only at the hard product which we have. Let's go back again to the clean food. The clean food starts from the soil, instead of using again fertilizers which are based on chemical compositions, etc. Use something natural, man. You get good food. You've grown up cleaner, you know what I mean? And that people will say, okay, we understand now what was the concept behind Nakia Coco, you know. We cannot focus on only one small thing. You need to see it as a general picture, right?
Yeah. I like to think that maybe that from years from now that we help protect people from, from having cancer. I know it gets so many layers, but if we can dissolve one of those layers that actually help to prevent, someone from to be diagnosed with cancer, then I'll be happy. That'll be good. It help expanding our lifespan a little bit longer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's important because a lot of stuff now, we don't know what's in it. I mean, like I tell people,
Yes.
when I went to honeymoon, I went to Greece and Italy and stuff like that. And I tell them the way they eat over there and the way we eat here is totally different. We got gigantic refrigerators. They have small refrigerators because they eat more fresh stuff than we do.
Yes.
And most of our stuff is in cans, and we don't know what is inside those cans to make it last so long. So it's a lot that goes into it, but definitely I see y'all. I mean, y'all might have coconut. I mean, groves of coconut trees or stuff like that, and have other products dealing with coconuts that y'all come out with and stuff like that. So
coming soon. Listen, you are seeing us at the very beginning, and so just wait till next year. Wait from 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We only way is up. Only way is up. We're introducing ourselves and our product with Nakia Coco charcoal first, but that's just a charcoal. Nakia Coco has so many different layers as well.
Definitely. You always keep them ideas and don't limit yourself because everybody got several avenues these days.
Yes.
Making multiple products. So, like I said, just keep it up. I wish the best for y'all because it's something different. And like I said, it's helpful to people. And once people get to using it, it's going to become a regular thing, everyday thing. Somebody walk in the store, grab a couple bags of your charcoal in the stores and don't think nothing of it or have any questions about it because it'll be a regular, everyday thing. So
it'll be a known brand.
So if I wanted to get some of your charcoal, how would I reach out to you and find y'all?
Well, you can reach us at nakiacoco.com. You can order online. On our website as well, we have a store locator. The store locator is your area, and it'll show the 4 stores that we're located in closest to you. So closest to you would be East Atlanta. We're at the Heritage Halal Market off of Glenwood Avenue and Fayetteville Road. And then we're also located at Mr. V's Restaurant. Mr. V's Restaurant and Equipment Store, more so B2B. He's located off of Northside Drive, right across the street from Georgia World Congress Center. And then we're also located at Norrie's Market off of Tara Boulevard for our South Side people. And then we also have pickup and delivery at our warehouse. But we are starting our deliveries for July. And so anywhere from right now, if a 25-mile radius from our warehouse, we'll deliver locally. And then hopefully soon we'll keep growing and growing and growing. And all our updates will be on our website for our store locators and, of course, all our social medias.
But definitely, we're gonna say reach out to the website first because I mean, if you're in the local area, that's fine. But I don't want to brag, but 48 countries do listen to this show.
Great.
So
amazing. Well, yes, you're correct. You're correct. And I got one more place they can go to as well. And in the next 2 weeks, they can you can order off Amazon. So we will be on Amazon. Yes, within the next 2 weeks. Our first shipment is going out this week, so we're excited for that. Yeah. So you got Prime membership. Use it while you can.
Definitely.
Because this bags is heavy.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I appreciate y'all coming on and sharing y'all story also. And the reason I had them on together because they were sponsoring Kiplon's food truck cook-off. So I said, why not bring them on together and get both of their stories and just to motivate people and show new things. So I definitely appreciate both of y'all coming on also, and Kiplon, you hanging out with us also through the whole interview. But other than that,
for having us.
hey, like I said, you see me out there, hey, I'll help you promote. I mean, introduce you to people and stuff. So
Thank you.
if I see you anywhere, hey, I definitely put the word out for you and go from there.
We deliver.
Yeah,
Okay. We
you
deliver.
had numerous.
And we will be making our own fire starters too. But just FYI, when you do buy those fire starters, please still read the packaging because they have put on there it may cause us cancer. It has cancerous chemicals inside. So just read the labels for sure because you don't want to just use our charcoal and then go back and then be counterintuitive what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely hit some of them trade shows, them farmer markets, and all that stuff. And go
yes,
out there and put that 10 by 10 up and sell your product. Y'all got, if you don't have it, get y'all a tent with your logos and all that on there, and just pop it up and go. 'Cause, next year I'm about to go mobile with this podcast. Well, this year I'm going
oh
mobile,
yeah.
but I'm about to
And
meet
listen,
people. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank y'all for coming on, and we'll see everybody next.
thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another therapy session. And remember, like, follow, and subscribe to help the barbecue therapy community. And also visit our website at www.barbecuetherapypodcast.com.